beliefs and what you guys what you guys take as the word and your context of it, and then have discussions through there. So I'm not going to tell you.
Well, as an atheist, you don't have a metaphysic that can provide for a basis for rightness or wrongness of anything.
I would agree with you. I would be a moral nihilist.
Then why do you on your YouTube channel talk about stuff that's true and false and right and wrong like the other YouTube atheists?
What have I said?
Oh, I've heard you moralize before about big and small things. So how would anything be designated as right and wrong given your atheist metaphysic?
It's I think I've only preached that I have my own opinion on stuff, and it's no different or no better or worse than anybody else's opinion.
Does your atheist metaphysic provide background information by which you can make statements of truth and falsity or value judgments?
No, I don't think so. I think I just appeal to a majority. Whatever the consensus of the society is, if they see something
you didn't understand the question.
No, I didn't. Then could you break it down Barney style for me?
Yeah, because when you make positive assertions, you're making truth claims, truth statements that this is right, and this is not wrong, this is true, this is not false.
Mm-hmm.
If I say the dog is running in the backyard, it's the equivalent of saying it is true the dog is running in the backyard.
Correct. Yeah.
So whenever you make positive statements, from your perspective, you're making truth claims. What I want to know is how your model of your worldview can provide background information so that there can be truth and falsity of anything.
I'm just kind of curious on like any specific. You said you've heard me say some stuff before. Just an example of something that I might have said.
Just the usual moralizing that atheists do, complaining about this and complaining about that. Okay, what you like, what you don't like. Okay, you can't help but make positive statements about things that you are true. It's inevitable when human beings speak. What I want to know is, does your atheistic model of reality provide background information so that you have the capacity to make truth statements as well as pronounce anything as false?
No, I would say no. I would say if we're going to talk about me saying things that I like, I mean, that's a truth statement right there, but you would have to take me at face value to say that it's true I like or dislike something.
So all the propositions you utter on your YouTube channel are purely arbitrary?
I'm still waiting for an example.
I'm still waiting for an answer to the question.
Well, I would need an example to be able to answer the question because I would disagree.
Okay, are you denying that you have made propositional statements that were intended to be taken that you believe they were true?
So let me try and reword the question, and you let me know if I did correctly, because I still am not. I'm stupid. I'm not a very intellectual person. So are you saying that if I've said things that I would say are morally or objectively moral or immoral on my show before?
I'm not even talking about morals. I'm talking about propositional statements. If you make propositional statements, they are inherently truth claims. Like I said, if you said my dog is barking right now, it's equivalent to saying it is true that the dog is barking. So obviously, if you make propositional statements, which every human being does, you believe that your model of reality provides the background information or metaphysics that can provide that truth and the concept of truth and falsity have legs.
Okay. So recently, I might have said some stuff before, but recently I've changed my position. I've taken more hard determinist route. And being a hard determinist, I can't really rationalize anything I say because the brain, the chemicals reacting inside of my brain is no different from dropping a Mentos in a Coke bottle. So there's nothing rational.
Well, how are you? How could you be a hard determinist? Don't you believe that any new fact could come along tomorrow to displace a certain fact that you believe now?
Absolutely. I'm just simply convinced of it.
So you believe in it. So you believe in an open universe then?
An open universe? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, because any new fact could appear tomorrow to displace or falsify a previous fact that you hold to.
Sure.
Okay, well then you believe in an open universe. If you believe in an open universe, you can't be a determinist.
I'm still confused on that.
You can't be a determinist if you believe in an open universe.
Well, you kind of just uttered the same words. What I'm saying is I'm not smart enough to understand exactly.
Okay, an open universe is that there is no fact that you could rule out that you could observe tomorrow. Is there any fact that could not appear along the scene tomorrow?
No, I would be open to.
Good, then you can't be a determinist then.
Okay, so what would I be? Would I be more of a compatibilist?
No, you would just be an incoherentist. Your worldview is incoherent. That's the net result of atheism. You see, you think you're a determinist, but when I asked you, could any fact appear tomorrow? Is there anything that you could categorically rule out that could not be in the next 10 minutes or tomorrow? And you said no. So that truth statement that you made, or that belief statement, is incompatible and inconsistent with determinism, because determinism means that some things can't change.
What determinism are you talking about? Because that's determinism to me is just a series of cause and effects. Anything can happen as long as it was caused.
You're not understanding determinism. Then there is the absolute of the causal principle and laws of nature.
Okay,
but you see, any new fact could come along tomorrow, right?
Everybody has to presuppose causation. I mean, I'm not understanding what you mean by that.
That's not the issue. The point is, you say you're a determinist, so you believed in the causal principle. You believe in that there are certain things that are absolute. And
no, what I said is I'm leaning more towards determinism.
No, that's not what you said. I heard you very clearly. You said you were a determinist.
I mean, if you go to my last YouTube show, I even state that I am agnostic. That I am leaning towards determinism, but I am agnostic about it.
Okay. Well, then you're going to have to dismiss determinism, because you believe in an open universe. You believe in a chance world where anything can happen. So nothing is off limits. Nothing is impossible.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're correct there.
Nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible.
Is anything off limits occurring tomorrow?
I don't know. I don't have absolute knowledge.
Okay, so you can't designate that anything is possible. So from your perspective, anything goes.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Then you have no grounds for intelligibility as an atheist, because if anything is possible, then a proposition could coexist or equal with its denial, destroying intelligibility. So you don't have a model of reality for intelligibility. Whereas in the Christian worldview, there are certain things that are impossible, that are inconsistent with God's eternal character and his creative redemptive plan in human history.
Okay.
And that's why we have intelligibility. But since you deny as an atheist the existence of God, okay, you have no foundation to assert anything.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I would be an nihilist.
So then why? So if you have no grounds to assert anything, what are you doing on your YouTube channel?
I'm trying to learn.
No, you're having people on who are fellow atheists for the most part. Occasionally you have theists, but the point is that all of your fellow atheists have no background information to make any positive claims whatsoever, because your worldview doesn't provide for it. So what are you doing with your YouTube channel?
I don't think you've watched my show too often, because I actually have more theists on my show as guests than atheists.
Okay. Well, the times I've watched, it's usually more atheists than there are theists. But while we're on that subject, could you tell us why your atheism is coherent?
It's not.
Oh, so why do you embrace something that's incoherent?
Because I'm convinced of it.
You're what?
I'm convinced of it.
You've been convinced that God doesn't exist?
The Christian God, yes. The God of Islam.
That's not atheism.
Okay, agnosticism then with
agnosticism is closet atheism.
Okay,
agnosticism is simply an implicit, indirect denial of God.
Okay, so I don't know if gods do or do not exist. I do know that the Christian God does not exist.
Okay. Well, first of all, if you're unwilling to acknowledge that there's an ultimate absolute creator God who institutes all temporal facts, okay, are you willing to assert that, to acknowledge that there's an ultimate eternal creator God?
No, I never said those words. I'm open
Good.
to.
Then by default, then you deny it.
No, I'm open to exactly what you just said.
No, you're not open. You're not open. If you were open, then you would affirm that God is.
Well, I mean, I could just refer to the Quran where it says "Lam yalid wa lam yulid," which states that God is not born.
You can't appeal to the Quran because you're an atheist.
Well, I can appeal to the Quran if I'm a Muslim.
You're not a Muslim. I'm not talking to a Muslim. Okay, I'm talking to an atheist. Now, what I'd like to know is, you told me you're convinced of atheism, that God, and atheism is either the direct or indirect denial of God. But now you're trying to present atheism as it's somehow just simply a state of incredulity. Well, it doesn't work that way, because God is in a category that is unlike anything else where you can't be neutral toward it. God is defined within the category of a transcendental necessity. So if you withhold by choice positive affirmation of God as the necessary precondition, then you will be believing that there are one or more facts that exist without reference to God. So when you speak facts, okay, at any given time, on YouTube, off YouTube, when you speak facts, are they with reference to God or without reference to God?
I would say right now they're without reference to God.
Good. Then you deny the existence of God. That's a denial of that's an indirect denial of God.
Of which God?
Any God concept where God is ultimate and creator. So what you're doing classically now is the atheist sloganism, while you're trying to move the goalposts. Okay. If after we settle the issue that you repent of your atheism, your God denialism, and we want to discuss the extended properties of God, I'll be glad to do that. As well, I only argue for the Christian God. But right now, what we're talking about is not my belief. We're talking about your atheism. So I want to know, how it is it that God does not exist?
I don't know. Well, how is it that?
No, we've already covered that. That doesn't fly. We've already refuted. Listen to me. I've already gone over that you cannot claim to be neutral. You're not neutral. You've told me that you, by choice, willfully invoke facts without reference to God. If you invoke one fact that is actual, intelligible, without referencing God, then you have denied the existence of God.
Okay. So you argue for the Christian God. Let's talk about that then.
No. So what you're doing is you're now getting uncomfortable. Beads of sweat are trying to bore. They're pouring down your temples because you're now trying to change the subject. What we're talking about is your atheism. So I will repeat the question that you attempted to dodge by pretending to be neutral.
Gotcha.
We've already resolved the issue that your atheism is an indirect denial of God. So how is it that God does not exist?
I don't know. Well, how does it?
Again, you're repealing the same thing that I rebutted before.
Going on right now. You let me get like 3 words in, and then you interrupt me.
Okay. All I know is you're repeating the same thing that I rebutted.
Okay. I haven't even gotten to speak a sentence yet, so I don't know how you would know that.
Okay. Can you tell me how is it that God doesn't exist?
How God doesn't exist. So the reason why God doesn't exist within the Christian framework, and that's what I'm going to focus on right now.
That's not what we're talking about.
That's the only way that I know.
You're changing the subject.
I just said I was open to other gods except for the Christian.
No, you're not open. You just told me that when you speak facts, you by choice, that your facts are without reference to God. In other words, the facts are actual and intelligible without referencing God. Consequently, that is an indirect denial of God. So I will ask you again, how is it that God does not exist?
Do we want to talk about what I believe or what you think I believe?
Okay. You just told me you speak facts without reference to God. Is that correct?
I said I speak. I don't know if I speak facts. I would say things that I think that are true or false.
Okay. Do you speak propositions? Do you speak that propositions exist or intelligible without reference to God?
I don't know.
Okay, well, that's a deceptive tactic. Of course you do, because earlier, a few minutes ago, you said yes.
I mean, do you just want to argue?
You've completely contradicted yourself.
I mean, you with your answers, absolutely, yeah.
No, you've completely contradicted yourself. I asked you a few minutes ago, when you speak facts, okay, when I asked you a few minutes ago, when facts come out of your mouth, when you invoke them being actual and possessing intelligibility, are they with or without reference to God?
Do we not
You
remember
said
when
they're without reference to God, right? You remember you said that?
I do remember that I said as a determinist I can't hold any rational thought, so I don't know.
No, we're not. No, I asked you earlier. When you speak facts, any facts at all, on YouTube, off to YouTube, are they with reference to God or without reference to God? And you categorically said without. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm sure somebody in here is recording it. Okay, because we have that on the audio. Okay, so if you speak facts without reference to God, that is an indirect denial of the existence of God. If I speak facts that reference God, that will be the affirmation of God exists. Okay, either facts reference God as the ultimate precondition, or facts do not reference God as the ultimate precondition, consequently denying the existence of God. So although it's common for atheists of you who try to represent your position as a position of neutrality, neutrality is not a luxury that you can maintain. Your position is an indirect denial of God. So I will ask you once again, how is it that God doesn't exist?
Because God is said to be three in one, and that's a logical contradiction according to the Nicene.
Well, first of all, we are again trying to change the subject to the Christian conceptualization of God. Atheism encompasses all basic God concepts, all monotheistic and polytheistic concepts. So your position is no creator God exists. Not believing in the existence of the Christian God. Okay, can you not overtalk me, please? Not believing in the Christian God doesn't get you to atheism. So I will ask you one more time. How is it that God doesn't exist?
Go ahead and answer for me, because I know that's what you're going to do.
I'm waiting for an answer.
I've been waiting to answer.
How is it that God doesn't exist?
I don't know. I'm never making the claim that you're saying that I'm making.
You are making an indirect denial of God. Do I have to go through it again with you?
I mean, you can, but it's not going to change anything.
Okay. When you speak forth propositions or truth claims or facts, do they reference the necessity of God?
I don't know that they're facts.
No. Okay. No, you do speak putative facts.
Here's where you answered my question for me. We have to stick.
You do. No, I didn't ask a question. I simply said you do utter putative facts. You know what the word putative means?
Question. I answered your question and said, no, this is what you believe. This is what happens.
Okay.
And I mean,
you don't ever utter what you believe to be putative facts?
No.
So in other words, if you said to a guest on your show, we're glad that you're here today, you're not uttering a fact?
I believe that. I'm glad.
Okay, good. Then you're making a distinction with no difference. Okay. The fact of the matter is, when you offer propositions and that you convey to the listeners who hear you that you consider to be true, you're uttering a putative fact. So this is not something that we should be arguing about. So when you invoke propositional statements that you deem to be true or you can consider to be true, those are putative facts. So when you utter those propositions or facts, are they with reference to God or without reference to God?
They're without reference to God.
Good. If you speak facts without reference to God, that's an indirect denial of God.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to know, how is it that God doesn't exist?
I don't know.
No. The answer is that. So what you're saying is, I am denying the existence of God, but I can't defend it. So why are you adopting that God does not exist without a rational justification?
I defend a position that I don't hold.
Do you deny the existence of God?
I deny the existence of the Christian God.
No. Okay. You deny the existence of God in general. Okay. First of all, atheism is all encompassing. It is not atheism. If I go to the dictionary, atheism is not the denial of the Christian God. You won't find that in any dictionary or encyclopedia or any philosophical dictionary, encyclopedia, philosophy. Atheism is the disbelief and denial of all God concepts. We have already settled the issue that your position is a denial of that there is a God. Whether that God has extended characteristics or property sets that would be identified with one God or another is a subject that we can discuss some other time. That's not the topic at hand. You're moving the goalposts. You indirectly deny the existence of God. You indirectly deny the existence of God. I will ask you once again, how is it that God doesn't exist?
I don't have an answer for you.
So you deny the existence of God. You claim that Christians don't have a rational justification for a God world, but you hold to a not God world and you don't have a rational justification for it?
I don't know.
So why are you an atheist?
I don't know.
So you're doing a YouTube show on a weekly basis because of I don't know?
No, I'm just not going to give you an answer so you can tell me that I'm wrong and then.
No, if you're doing a weekly show on atheism, you must believe that atheism is true, right? You call yourself the empathetic atheist. So do you believe atheism is true?
Atheism is true because atheism is a lack of belief in God.
Here we go again. They all move the goalposts. No, I've got wrong for you. If atheism, so you're saying that atheism is only an autobiographical statement. Is that it?
No, I'm saying that atheism is relative to the person.
Is atheism merely and only an autobiographical statement about what's churning between your ears? Or is atheism the direct or indirect denial of God?
I don't think so. I think it's relative.
No. Atheism. So in other words, like Humpty Dumpty said to Alice in Wonderland, words mean whatever I want them to mean, no more or no less, and I'm the master of my words. Okay. Now, are you using the word atheist in some unusual, non-standard way?
I'm using atheist in the words that Mr. Fry changed the definitions years ago to, and stating that agnosticism is a knowledge claim and atheism or
no, it is not. T.H. Huck, do you know who invented agnosticism, the term? Which would be the either direct or indirect denial of the existence of God. So, do you invoke putative facts without reference to God as the ultimate precondition?
I don't understand what you're saying. You're speaking.
Do you speak forth facts without referencing God as the precondition?
I don't reference God because I don't believe in God.
Okay, good. So you invoke facts without referencing God. So that is the indirect denial of the existence of God because you believe that facts, propositions, truth claims exist without the necessity of referencing God. That is the denial of God, sir.
Have you ever had a fruitful conversation?
Yes, I have, and I'm having one right now, and I'm exposing the bankruptcy of your atheism. It's being very fruitful. You may feel very uncomfortable in this line of questioning, but the conversation is being very fruitful.
Someone's giving my answers for me. Yeah,
do you or do you not indirectly deny the existence of God?
I don't know. You've asked me this 20 times, and I've given you the same answer every time.
You keep on moving the goalposts, and it's not clear to me.
I keep on trying.
Do you indirectly deny the existence of God?
I deny the existence of a logical contradiction, which is
okay. We're not. You see, again, you're moving the goalposts. We're not.
Are you a theist now?
No, Tom Locke, please. No dogpiling. Listen to me. Don't let him have an excuse to escape this. Again, we're not discussing the Christian God. We're talking about a God concept. Whether or not that God has extended properties is another conversation. You're moving the goalposts in order to deflect. Okay, now. Either you affirm or deny that there's an ultimate, absolute creator God who instituted all temporal facts. Now, when you speak facts at all, okay, whether those facts are true or not, as long as you believe them, do they reference the necessity of God?
I'll say again, no, Good. Not when I speak them.
Then that is the indirect denial of God. Are we clear?
Yes.
Good. So you deny the existence of God. How is it that God does not exist then?
I don't know.
So you are adopting that God does not exist on irrational, arbitrary grounds?
I already told you that I'm a determinist, so nothing that I think is rational. We've already covered.
Okay, so the point is telling me that you're a determinist is attempting to change the subject. Okay. Now, what I want to know is your atheism, is your position that God does not exist, is it arbitrary and irrational, or is your atheism, your God denialism, rational?
No, my atheism is not rational.
Good. Then why are you doing an irrational YouTube channel?
Because I'm convinced of it.
You're convinced that God does not exist?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the grounds that you believe that God does not exist?
My conviction.
That doesn't answer the question.
I know it doesn't answer your question, but that's my answer.
No, that doesn't. No, that doesn't answer the question at all. How is it that God does not exist in your view?
It all depends on the God, and I know you're
moving the goalposts again.
We can't have a conversation unless I stick to your script.
No, it's not a matter of sticking to the script. It's answering the question and not moving the goal. No, what you're doing right now is you're attempting to move the goalpost to dodge the question and change the subject. And when I point out to you that you're moving the goalpost, you accuse me of trying to ram some script in you. I'm asking you a very simple, straightforward question. You carry on every single week. You do an atheist YouTube stream. You promote atheists on your show. Yes, I'm well aware that you have atheist guests on there, right? But you are about promoting atheism. I want to know, how is it that you are convinced that there is no God?
I really don't know what to say to you because you're just going to tell me that my answer is not an answer and then give me my answer.
No, I won't interrupt you. How much time would you like? I'll ask the question and then I'll shut up. And when I will wait till you're done talking before I add a comment or critique or whatever. How is it that you are convinced that there is no God?
So I am not convinced that all gods do not exist. What I am convinced of is that the Christian God and other polytheistic...
I'm sorry, you're moving the goalposts again.
I thought you said you weren't going to comment.
No, but if you weren't cheating, you're cheating now. No, you're cheating in the conversation. Okay. If I was playing Monopoly with you, and I saw you reach into the bank and take money, I would say, no, you can't do that. You're cheating. You're moving the goalposts. You're not answering the question.
Don't you keep your word?
Okay. So now we're going to continue to deflect from answering the question. Stop moving the goalpost. No, you weren't trying. No, you weren't trying. Now you're being deceitful. You weren't trying. You're trying to force moving the goalpost.
Why I got interrupted.
You told me you're upset about me interrupting with you, yet you're doing it. You're moving the goalpost. I will answer the question, and as long as you address the question and not move the goalpost, I will not interject. Now, how is it that you are convinced that there is no God in existence?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't.
No, your position is not. No, you see, this is the problem. That answer is not coherent because your position is not, I don't know. Your position is God does not exist.
That's what you say my position is.
No, that's what you have said it is.
Let's go back in the recording.
Do you want to deny that when you tell me that you invoke facts without reference to God, do you want to deny that that is an indirect denial of God?
I've already told you that I don't invoke facts. Okay.
Really? Is that a fact?
I don't know. Is it?
Okay. Do you ever make truth statements?
Irrationally, yes.
Okay. So basically you're an irrational person. Is that why you're an atheist? Because you're irrational?
You would say, Darth, my mind is just a whole bunch of gobbledygook.
No, I'm looking for a sincere answer instead of, being, snarky. You do. And by the way, I commend you for coming in here. At least you have balls, unlike the rest of the atheist YouTube community. They're a bunch of spineless, ballless, feckless little cowards. At least you have the balls to come in here and talk with me. But you see, the bottom line here is it's not that your position is, I don't know. We've already refuted that. Your position is that God does not exist. Now, I want to know, why have you adopted the position that God does not exist? Saying I don't know is simply not being honest about what your position is. Your position is God does not exist. Now, how is it that God does not exist?
I don't know. So if I change if I say that I'm not an atheist anymore, and I say that, what would be the word? What would be the word that you would use, Darth, for somebody who is just not convinced, open to the idea but not convinced?
What is the word? That's an atheist.
Okay, so I'm an atheist then.
Good. How is it that God does not exist?
I don't know. I just told you that I'm open.
No, you're not understanding. That's incompatible. There is no neutral there is no neutral ground toward God. When you say listen, you can say I don't know about gold on Mars because gold on Mars is not a transcendental ultimate absolute. God is a transcendental necessity and an ultimate and absolute by definition. So if you do not reference God as the transcendental necessity when you invoke facts or truth claims, then you are denying that. Okay, so I will ask you once again, how is it that God doesn't exist?
You know what? God does exist.
Oh, so you now believe God exists? So are you going to go this week, are you going to start a new show called The Empathetic Theist?
No, it's going to be The Empathetic Muslim.
No, that would be a theist, sir.
Absolutely, but it's still a Muslim.
So in other words, I would like everyone in the room to know, because he cannot rationally and cogently defend his atheism, because he's not behind a microphone where he pulls all the strings, right, and controls everything. He now just wants to be snarky and do stand-up comedy. I'm looking for a serious, adult, intelligent answer. How is it that God does not exist? Can you answer that?
No, I can't, because I'm not going to give you the answer that all these.
Then why are you going to do an atheist YouTube show this week?
Because I live in America and I have the freedom to do so.
That's not Germany.
That's not the answer. That's not the answer.
That's a yeah. Oh, because I live in America. That's not the issue. The issue is because if you cannot rationally defend your position that God does not exist, and you admit you cannot rationally defend it, that your position is not coherent at all, then why are you going to continue to do an atheist show promoting atheism? Why are you going to do that?
Would you suggest that I drop my atheism because it's not rational?
I would suggest you adopt the existence of God. Because everything indicates God, and the denial thereof leads to futility of reasoning. And I've already demonstrated that in part just simply by asking you simple questions about your own position. And you've been so troubled by it that you've attempted to move the goalpost numerous times.
I've been troubled by not being able to pull the strings, so the strings are pulled for me and my answers are made for me.
No, that's what I'm troubled. And you know what? That's a bunch of garbage what you just said. Okay, I'm giving you ample opportunity. I'm giving you ample opportunity to answer the question. Watch, we'll try it again. How is it that God does not exist? I will shut up. You have 2 minutes. Please address the question. How is it that God does not exist? Go.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kul huwa Allahu ahad. Allahu samad.
No. Listen. This is a serious question.
You're trolling, dude.
If you're not, okay. Listen. If you're to be taken, you want people to take you as a serious atheist doing a YouTube channel. You have guests on there and you even have theists, to your credit. Okay, a lot of atheist YouTubers do not. Okay, you've had me on briefly. Okay, to your credit. But the point is simply right now, you are not taking the question seriously. You're just being snarky and you're bordering on doing bad stand-up comedy. I want to know, since you have been doing an atheist YouTube show for quite a while, you're going to continue to do it. I want you to answer this question. How is it that there is no God?
I don't know.
No, we've already rebutted that. Your position is not I don't know. Your position is God does not exist.
I don't know.
No, that's false. Okay.
See, this is where you give me my answer for me.
Listen to me. When you say I don't know, what you're claiming is that you can be neutral toward God, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's false. Do you remember how I explained to you why that's false?
Yes, I understand how you think.
Okay, all right. Good. Then I'll have to go over it again. Okay, let me explain it to you. In a God world, in a God world. Okay, I'll be brief. In a God world, all facts would necessitate referencing God. In a not God world, no facts would necessitate referencing God. There is no middle ground because of the category that God is in. You can say, I don't know about gold on Mars, but you don't have that luxury when it comes to God. Now, it's popularly conceived that you can do that, God explicitly or implicitly. Which do you do?
know.
No, I think it's very clear what you do when you invoke truth claims. Are your truth claims when you make statements that are putatively true? Do you by choice withhold referencing God?
Leaning determinist, I don't believe in choice.
Okay, again, you're moving the goalposts here.
Well, if we're talking about choice within my answer,
well, unfortunately, earlier I said, "Are you willing?" I said, "Are you willing to affirm and assert the necessity of God as the precondition of all facts?" And you said no. So you are by choice not referencing God as a necessary precondition for your truth claims. That is your position, right?
You have an opinion on that, absolutely.
Is that your position?
Nope.
Is it your position that when you make truth claims, you are by choice not referencing God?
I don't know what truth claims are.
Okay, so why are you pretending like now you got hit in the head and had a frontal lobotomy?
I don't know. I mean, you have a right to an opinion.
You don't know what truth claims are? Really, dude?
Why, man?
Are you this shallow to be deceitful?
No, I'm just not going to give serious answers anymore.
Well, let me ask you this question. When you said, I don't know what truth claims... Okay, let me ask you this. When you say, I don't know what truth claims are, was that statement true?
Mute me, because I can't even have a coherent conversation.
when you said, no, I'm just being assertive. I'm just being assertive and asking you questions that you keep on moving the goalposts for.
When it doesn't meet your script.
No, that, sir, is a scripted response, and it's non-substantive. Now, when you said, I don't make truth claims, was that statement that you made true?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Nope.
Okay, now you're lying, dude.
So now I have asked you clear, circumspect, non-trick, non-loaded questions, and you are in a corner and you cannot answer them. So now you just want to go, I don't know. How many times do you think people in this room are dumb? How many times you move the goalposts?
Absolutely not. But on my YouTube channel,
let's see if you're a truthful person.
Can you stop?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. When I have people on my YouTube channel and I ask them questions and I interview them, when they give me an answer, I take it at face value. If that's what they believe, that's what they believe. I don't consistently on every single point tell them that they're wrong and then give them the answer to what they believe. This is why nobody can have a coherent view with you. This is why atheists don't come here, because the conversation was absolutely pointless.
Is what you just said, is that true? Does that happen on your show?
I don't know. This is shifting the goalpost, Darth.
No, you just told me about what happens on your show.
You're allowed to do it, but I'm not.
I'm not shifting the goalpost. You just told me about your show, right? Did you just tell me about what you do on your show?
Yes, I did. Okay,
was that true?
I don't know. This is shifting the goalpost, Darth.
No. It's not shifting the goalpost because it's directly germane to what you said. You see, this is how. Listen to me. Listen to me. You need to change your screen name.
I just need to change the group that I'm in.
No, listen to me carefully, okay? And by the way, even though we're not agreeing, what I do appreciate is that in spite of my criticisms of you, I think that you have remained fairly cordial. You haven't tried to blow up the conversation with a stick of verbal dynamite or hightailed it. So I do appreciate that. Okay.
Thank you.
And I usually don't see atheists sticking it out as long as you have. But having said that, I think that your responses to my legitimate questions on your atheism have been beyond abysmal. And I think you need to change your screen name and your YouTube channel name. You need to stop calling yourself the empathetic atheist. You need to call yourself the pathetic atheist.
Oh, okay. So you commend me and then insult me.
No, I think the insult is well deserved. You are a pathetic representation of atheism. When I ask you to defend what your position really entails, which is the denial of the existence of God, you go, I don't know. But your position is not, I don't know. Your position is that God does not exist.
My position is what I said and not what you think that I said.
Okay. Are you denying that your position is an indirect denial of God?
I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Okay, do you know what direct and indirect means?
Yes.
Do you know what explicit versus implicit is?
Nope.
Okay. Are there people sitting in prison convicted of murder who implicated themselves while denying they committed the murder?
Yes.
Okay. So we can say things that are contrary to implicating ourselves. Now, if I say to you that the apple on the counter is not a brute fact, then I am indirectly claiming that it is a created fact. The opposite of a brute fact is a created fact. If the apple on the counter is a created fact, I am indirectly and by implication asserting and affirming God's existence. On the other hand, conversely, if I say the apple on the counter is not a created fact, that by implication is an indirect denial of God. So are we clear?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so when you invoke, things like pizza, dogs, cars, whatever, these putative facts that you invoke in your daily life and on your YouTube channel, do they by choice reference the necessity of God, or do you invoke these propositions without referencing the necessity of God?
I would say without referencing the necessity
Okay,
of God.
then that constitutes an indirect, implicit denial of God.
How do I know that God does not exist? This is almost like listening to
what I'm trying to show to you that the modern day atheists, with rare exceptions, are trying to represent their God denialism as though they're not denying God, that they're just simply unconvinced. But your position is not that you're unconvinced. Your position is that there are facts around you that don't necessitate invoking or referencing God. And you prove that when I ask you, will you assert the necessity of referencing the necessity of God? And you said, no, you do not. So you invoke facts without God, right?
I don't know.
When you speak,
we're not getting anywhere here, Darth.
We're not getting anywhere because you're being dishonest.
Could you help me convince me of God? What do I need to do to believe in God?
Okay, good. So now what I've shown, the first step in convincing you to God is how utterly incoherent and vacuous atheism is, and I think I fairly demonstrated that. Okay.
And
now,
at the beginning of the conversation, I agreed with you. I said at the beginning of the conversation, I agreed with you.
Good. Now, the reason why God exists is because God cannot not exist, and in order for there to be any facts at all, God would have to exist. God has constructed this world in such a way that all facts, including your own self-awareness and consciousness, are indicative of God, because if they were not, you couldn't be a self-conscious, self-reflective human being, nor could there be facts. There can only be facts if God creates this world and they're revelatory of him, and they are only facts because they are within his plan. No God, no plan, you cannot have any facts. Why can't you have any facts without God? Is because then the putative facts would emerge from a world of mystery, of utter chance. Okay? So you can't have actual facts unless God exists. Okay. So if you don't accept that, then you will by default have to conclude that facts exist without God, but you won't be able to defend that because there is no ultimate metaphysic that you could defend. Okay. So God has revealed himself in all facts, otherwise it couldn't be facts, and consequently, we demonstrate the existence of God through a reductio ad absurdum, that the denial of the proposition leads to self-philosophical immolation. In other words, you annihilate yourself philosophically. You will render your ability to speak intelligibly as null and void. You won't even be able to talk about the apple on the counter, because that's going to require a system, a worldview, and the worldview is going to require an ultimate grounding, an absolute and an ultimate that instantiates facts, but you have none.
Okay.
So God has revealed himself and God exists due to the impossibility of its denial. So you either have to sit there in silence in your rebellion against God because you don't want God to exist, or you're going to have to defend your God denialism, which you refuse to defend.
Okay. So what's the next step?
The next step is you need to get on your knees to the God that you know exists, who has revealed himself in all facts, and turn to that God who is your creator and redeemer to escape the wrath that's coming for your sins, and turn to Jesus Christ. Okay?
Give me a second. I need to download the Qibla tracker so I can face Mecca.
Okay, so now what you're doing is you're turning this into a joke. If you do not accept that Jesus, if you do not accept that Jesus is Lord, okay, what you're now, you see, this is what happens, that when atheists get soundly defeated in a conversation, they immediately convert to Islam. Gee, I wonder why that is. Unfortunately, so you want to believe in the God who is the greatest of all deceivers, because that's what Allah says about himself. Did you know that?
It also says in Isaiah 45 that God creates good and evil. He does all these things.
Right.
I mean,
now is that when it says evil, when the King James Bible translated evil there, was it referring to moral evil, or was it referring to well-being and calamity?
I don't know. Reading it at face value.
Well, I know, because I've looked up the Hebrew word. It doesn't mean moral evil. It means calamity.
Okay.
Now, the point is simply this, okay? You're not being serious in one bit that you are turning to the God of Islam, okay?
Hold on, Darth. I've spoke to many of my atheist friends and told that I'm about halfway to Islam because of a group of Muslim friends that I've been speaking to have been very, very coherent with their arguments. And like I said before at the beginning of the conversation, I'm very open-minded to God existing. I'm just not open-minded.
No, you're not. If you're open-minded, you're going to acknowledge that God exists right now.
That would be closed-minded to the existence of God.
Yeah, that doesn't even make any sense.
No, if you're open, you will acknowledge God right now. If
that
you
doesn't
do
make
not
sense.
acknowledge God, well, Joshua, I'll be glad to speak with you shortly, because I think that Empathetic is getting a little tired of this, and I don't want to make him think that this is a little thing where I just keep on beating up on him, because I really appreciate him coming in here. So just wait a minute or two, and I'll get to you, Joshua. Okay?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so in the Quran, the Quran condemns the doctrine of the Trinity. Okay, are you aware of that, Empathetic?
Yeah, actually, when I was reciting that Arabic, that lem yulid wa lam yulid, it states that God is neither born nor does he beget. So that throws the Trinity out.
Okay, now in Surah 5, Muhammad says, and when Allah will say to Jesus, did you say to your followers to take you and your mother as gods? Was Muhammad letting us know that he was aware that the Christians were taking Jesus and Mary as gods?
I do not know. Right now, I am.
The answer is yes. Muhammad, in writing that, was letting us know that he was fully acquainted, that he thought, right, that the Christians were taking Mary and Jesus as gods. Now, in Surah 4, Muhammad stated, allegedly, putatively, by the moving of Allah, that the Christians were wrong in following three gods. It says, say not three, okay? And then it lists three personas. It lists Allah, Jesus, and Mary, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, it does not list another third persona, okay? Just Allah, Jesus, and Mary. Mm-hmm. Then again in Surah 5, it says those who teach that Allah is a third of three are unbelievers, and they're going to face a very bad punishment unless they repent. And then he says Jesus was just a messenger, and messengers before him had passed away. And then it goes on to say that he ate food. So Muhammad was telling us, look, Jesus is not a god because he ate food. But when we look at the text, it says that they both ate food. Well, who's both? It's Mary and Jesus. So in this passage, Muhammad had in his mind that the Christians were taking Allah, Jesus, and Mary as gods. Muhammad was an ignorant, illiterate Arab on the Arabian Peninsula, and he thought that the Christians were worshiping the Trinity of Allah, Jesus, and Mary. This is a monumental historical blunder of epic proportions. Mm-hmm. I could go on for another hour debunking Islam of how contradictory it is. Okay.
I'm not there yet. I'm still wanting to look at the compare the nature of God, the nature of the Islam God versus the Christian God.
Well, it's a no-brainer. The God of Islam simply does not have the property or character set that is necessary to be ensconced within the Godhead in order for there to be human intelligibility. He simply just doesn't have it. Okay.
So I guess the necessary being would be something that is eternal, that is necessary for the existence of everything, that is self-sufficient to itself, and having all of the
the sufficient properties for existence and for human intelligibility are the character set of the Christian God, starting with his own unity, his eternality, his absoluteness, his self-containedness. Okay, the fact that he is triune, that he is the one and the many in equal ultimacy, and he's created a world which reflects his unity and plurality, and we see unity and plurality imposed by God within the world. Okay. Now, God has revealed to us that he's always truth revealing. He's omniscient, he's omnipotent, and he has a salvific plan. Without that character set, there cannot be human intelligibility, and no other God has it. Do you know that of all the gods that have ever been taught in human history, as far as we can see, none of these gods are absolute and ultimate gods? Okay, because when we look into the characteristics that are given to them by their own followers, those characteristics take away from the fact that they're ultimate or absolute. And the only God in human history that is characterized through his attributes as ultimate absolute is the God of Christianity.
Except for when he manifests himself in reality and becomes contingent.
No. You're making a category error here. God can condescend. God can condescend and manifest himself as he chooses. You are confusing God's essential properties with accidental properties.
I guess the Christians.
God, listen to me. Listen to me. God, listen to me. You are confusing. Okay, you are confusing in theology the difference between the ontological Trinity versus the economical Trinity. With creation, with the inception of creation, each member of the Trinity takes on a role in the redemptive process of human history, and those would be called accidental properties, not essential properties. So there's no conflict with God having essential unchanging properties and acquiring accidental properties in, for example, in manifesting himself in human form. There's no contradiction there.
Is Jesus begotten?
Okay. Are you referring to John 3:16?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, that's one.
Okay. The word begotten conveys the idea of mean one and only, unique. That's the conveyance there. Okay. Now the bottom here is simply this. Okay. You know down in your heart that Jesus Christ is the Lord. You know he's a savior, but you do not want to bow the knee to him. So you come up with all these atheist cliches, right? That's why you spend your time attacking Christianity.
Can I correct you real quick?
Sure.
The argument that I'm giving you is from a Christian scholar who's been spending 8 years trying to solve the logical problem of the Trinity.
There is no logical problem of the Trinity.
There is. I can send you.
No, there couldn't. Would you like to know why? Would you like to know? Would you like to know why?
I mean, if you,
okay,
yeah.
Would you? Okay, good. I'm going to save you a lot of time. Okay, because this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, I don't want to disparage his academic achievement. Okay, here's why there's not a problem. Okay. If he says that the Trinity is illogical, he's saying that the concept of the Trinity is not rational, right?
Yes. The foundation.
So the Trinity can be expressed as is that God is one, and he possesses unity and diversity in equal ultimacy. Okay, God is one God, one being, one essence, but within his unity, there's diversity of three distinct separate persons who are eternally unified. So God is both possesses unity and diversity and equal ultimacy. So is that theologian saying that that concept of the Trinity is not rational?
This theologian is stating that the 7 points, which are the Father is God, the Son is God, the Holy Spirit is God, the Father is not the Son, the Father is not the Holy Spirit, the Son is not the Holy Spirit.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, this is an adolescent blunder. I'm not accusing you. Whoever wrote that, that's an adolescent blunder. It's because when we use words, sometimes words are used analogically, sometimes they're used equivocally, which means they can have a shift in meaning. Okay. And other times they can be univocal, which means they can mean one and only one thing. When the Bible says Jesus is God, it doesn't mean he's the Trinity. It means Jesus is qualitatively God. It is not saying that Jesus is quantitatively God. So when the Bible uses the word God, it's using it in different nuances, okay, that can shift in meaning, okay? Now, when we talk about what is God, God is that which is eternal, okay? Now, is the Father eternal? Yes. Is the Spirit eternal? Yes. Is Jesus eternal? Yes. Are all three members of the Trinity that are unified from eternity, are they collectively eternal? Yes. God is omniscient. And I could go down God's characteristics. Now, Jesus, although the Godhead is multi-personal, all right, Jesus himself is not multi-personal. He is a single person. So the problem is, whoever wrote that, they're making a monumental blunder. Okay, if the essence of the doctrine of the Trinity is that God cannot possess unity and diversity and equal ultimacy. That's the core of the logical attack. But if it is incoherent that God cannot possess unity and diversity and equal ultimacy, then you will destroy your worldview, because then your world will either have to be an absolute concrete one, or it'll have to be a plurality with no concrete unity. Okay.
Yeah, but I think the problem is that if you say that they're qualitatively the same, but not quantitatively the same, then that entails a composition in God, which means that he's contingent.
No, sir, you're not this is going right over your head. Okay. When we talk about God, okay, we can, first of all, whenever we speak of God, we can never speak of God exhaustively. Okay, from a biblical point of view, the Bible makes this very clear. We can never exhaustively speak of God, all right? Because if we did, then we would be God. So when we speak of God, we have to speak of God in how he speaks to us about himself, and he does so analogically, okay? So
Right.
there is no contradiction there. God is taking things that we know of as analogs for us to understand that we could not otherwise understand exhaustively. The bottom line here is simply this, okay? It is impossible to deny the existence of God for a variety of reasoning. That's why atheism is totally bankrupt and utterly foolish, right? And it is impossible to deny the Christian God, because the Christian God's characteristics, his property and attribute set, are the very foundational pillar upon which human intelligibility rests. If that is not accepted, then you're going to have to tell me what is it that is ultimate in existence that will ground and be a metaphysical background information for human intelligibility. Good luck doing that. All right, I think we've covered enough territory here, and I don't want you to feel like you're being beat up. So, do you want to have any final statements? Empathetic
conversation. No, well, yeah, absolutely. Well, Darth, I appreciate you having me on here. I'm going to sit back and listen to a little bit, because, like I've said many times, obviously I'm not the smartest man in the room, and I do want to learn more. So, if you want to go ahead and talk to Josh, because I think he's
aching to get in here, and I don't want you to think that we're beating up on you. And even though we disagree and I criticize you, I don't want you to think that I don't like you. Okay, I don't think that you're unlikable. I think that you were dodging, but you didn't exemplify overwhelming deceit that we see from most atheists. Okay. Mm-hmm. There was some, I believe, dodging, but It's nothing personal. I just shoot from a hip how I see things, right? And I hope you come again.
Cool. I appreciate the conversation.
Okay, Josh, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, man?